Thank you. Lovely to bring that. Beauty. Hey, good to see you again. Familiar faces.
So we do a Q&A basically, and this is quite informal. Just come at us with stuff
when they centre us.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Have you got any tips on how to deal with muscle cramping?
Oh man, that's a big one.
That was the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
You let that out of the cage.
Everyone responds differently to this, and it's really about testing that. And I think in some of your long training runs, I always say try and do like a 60% race distance run 6 weeks out. And the reason why I think that's really good training is you get to test those sorts of things and work out what works for you and what doesn't. A lot of people get caught up on how much sodium I need to be taking in and how do I activate that sodium with different electrolytes and balances and those sorts of things. Don't get a Powerade that's already green and then add like 3 VitaFresh to it. And yeah.
The research has kind of shown now that it's more to do with the pace that someone has gone rather than electrolytes or hydration or anything like that, or nutrition. It's more around how hard they've actually pushed themselves when they're not used to running that fast, which seems to be the key. And some people cramp and others don't, and that's.
Because I've done the same run like once on a trial, like did a recce and had no problems at all, and then during the race I went faster and about 2/3 into it fully cramped up.
Sometimes it's psychosocial as well. The mind plays a really big role in that, and that's why there are solutions, homeopathy solutions to cramping, and that are effective because the placebo effect is very important on the mind as well. And so that can be a thing too. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like if you take, say, Cramp Stop and it fixes your cramps, full credit to you, keep using Cramp Stop. There's a big, the mind plays a really big role in it as well, and it'll sneak in when you don't realise it. Sucks.
How much other exercise would you put in next to the running? I mean, it's a full body. It's all about running.
Biking.
It depends on what kind of person there are. Some people, really want to swim or bike as well. So I think if you can, want to put that into your program, there's nothing wrong with it.
I think people do high intensity interval training. It's really good for weight loss, offset as well. So some people do CrossFit. It's a really common one. People that are interested in yoga, I encourage them to do the yoga and Pilates as well. But in terms of some aerobic work as well, the supplementary, I call a lot of that supplementary training, is to go for a short bike ride. Usually the day after the long run, like your recovery day. So for a lot of athletes, it's a Monday, is go to a spin class or go and do a high cadence, something that turns your legs over quite quickly but doesn't impact your legs. And I think a lot of people find that quite refreshing, but they still get a bit of a workout as well. So there's heaps of cool supplementary stuff you can do.
What's your opinion on strength training, weights or that sort of thing? Core strength work?
I think it's great. I think it needs to be, depending on how much time you have in your life, it needs to be functional. I think is really important. I think you're far better off spending an hour running than an hour lifting tin. But if you're doing functional work in terms of your running form and your fitness, then that's great.
I'm a pretty big believer in strength work for trail ultra running, and I do quite a bit of it just with a pretty simple set of dumbbells, and I do really big range of movement sort of stuff, and I do quite high rep stuff too, and I quite often will take a pair of dumbbells out in the bush and run along with them as far as I can until my shoulders and I'll just drop off, and then I dump them on the trail and then go for a run for an hour, and I come back and pick them up and try and run home with them.
It's important for you because out of the three of us, you're the runner that spends most of his time training without a shirt on.
Yes, ironically, in the winter time is when I go shirtless. That's my shirt.
Paul has a really interesting tip for if you're doing repetition training or loops of something, which was you were talking about your 3-lap.
Oh yeah, it's a good psychological one. If you've got a training group where you do laps, multiple loops, and you're like me and you lack discipline, and if you've got say 3 12k loops to do, and you know that you're going to chicken out on doing the third one, on the second loop, when you get out to the furthest point on that loop, take your car keys with you. And
on motivation, how do you get motivated after an event? So I keep finding myself doing something and I'm fit, and then I do nothing for 3 months and I'm unfit.
Yeah. Personally, I think this is quite common, and I encourage it as well, is set yourself the target that you want to do, the primary target we call it, and don't set a lot of targets after that. Aim to hit that target, and then give yourself that recovery, give yourself that week of not focusing on what you're going to do next, maybe 2 weeks of not really training really hard. Your athletic conditioning will drop away a little bit. You know a little bit about that dropping away from after a race?
Yeah, I mean, you can go for a couple of weeks without losing any conditioning, and then it kind of starts to plummet pretty quick after that. So yeah, once you've kind of been through that, you probably need to start thinking about your next event and putting a plan in place. Yeah.
Really important you have that mental break, because you've been so focused on achieving it, but at the same time, really. I always say to myself, I was in really great condition going into that race, and it'd be a shame to lose that condition. Whilst I'm a bit fatigued, I probably should carry on. And you can tick it over. It's really, really easy. You don't have to keep training like you used to, and you almost maintain that same level of fitness. It's really easy to do.
And a good way to be motivated if you've got the post-Tarawera blues is maybe think about maybe next year you need a complete mental break from running Tarawera into something like the North Face 100 in Australia, which is a little bit tougher than Tarawera, plus it's in a different country. So if you sign up to something like that and you pay for your airfare and do all that, 10 months in advance, you've already put a whole lot of money down and you've got a guaranteed overseas holiday as a result of it, and that's a really good motivator to start you churning over the legs again and getting motivated.
So if you got to 42 and you knew you had 3 months to the 60, how do you you're talking about trying to keep that fitness?
Yeah.
I don't quite know where to go from between those 3 months.
Jog for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Sorry?
Take a week off completely and then start jogging, just some really short runs, and then after 2 weeks probably you'll feel like you can start kind of building up again.
And then you just keep going back from sort of
near
beginning
Yeah, almost.
No, not near beginning, kind of where you left off.
Okay, so about the 30.
Yeah, where you left off before the 42.
Okay. You still have to do you have to do a longer one again.
Yeah, but you've got plenty of time.
Yeah.
But although that 42 actually works out well in that calendar, the reason, some of the reason why that race exists is so to get people to get that, training run done. That's kind of their super long.
You could think of the 42 as a build-up event to the 60. So it's kind of just a long training run towards your 60k goal.
Yeah.
If you're looking at, say wanting to do a number of 50s to 100s, what would you consider as a good base level to keep at the rest of the time? And then how you talked about building to an event. Is there any sort of, say if you were going to do a marathon, for example, maybe around a half as a good base, and then
yeah, I think so. Yep.
So if you're looking at the longer events, what would be a good base sort of like?
Well, I think to stay in tip-top ultra shape all year round would be pretty difficult, because it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of miles. But I think if you can even keep yourself in half marathon shape, pretty easy to make that kind of leap with a little time up to an ultra distance.
Yeah. And the common theme that's coming through in the last few questions is a lot of people talking about maybe the trough that you have after it and how you get up again. It really comes down to how hard you push yourself in that race. If you really spend it all and you lie down on the finish line with one of those cool screw faces that I have, then your recovery time is going to be massive. And in that situation, I could only have 2 good races a year. And I think it's mad to try much more. Joe will teach you a thing or two about running. How many ultra marathons are you going to do this year, do you know? A lot. So is it?
Quite a few already.
Yeah.
2 more go.
At least.
3 more go.
Yeah. That's not.
Actually, let's introduce Joe. Joe, stand up here. We've got a bit of a running personality in the Joe Johansson,
Come sit next to me.
Joe won the 2014 Tarawera Ultra Marathon, and that was your first. Second after Heart River. Really long run, and if winning Tarawera on her first attempt was not enough, Joe also won that race in the face of a tropical cyclone. So any tips from you, Ultra Joe?
Don't overtrain. Yeah. Don't be doing long runs 1 week out or 5 days out or anything like that.
Good tip.
I was just going to say, have you got any tips for recoveries after long runs? Like, not to say cold baths or foam rolling or go for a run, but it's just a real short run the next day, just to kind of keep loose or anything like that?
All of the above.
Or a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you'll find generally what works for you. I'm still working on that for me, but yeah, I find that getting a decent feed in pretty soon after I get back is key. Sometimes that's really hard because you don't feel like it, but you get that food straight into you, and then just rest up as much as you can, put your feet up, hydrate.
I've got a good tip, sounds stupid as hell, but it works for me, is I go after a long run, go in a cold lake, and I go swimming around in a doggy paddle a little bit. But when I'm doing that, I'm kicking my legs as furiously as I can for about 1 or 2 minutes in this cold water. And it just, you know, making sure your ankles are really loose as well, so your feet are flopping like this and your legs are flopping and flailing around, and just move them incredibly vigorously and then stay in that cold water for a bit. And man, recovery is really good after doing that.
Active recovery is really good. Yeah. Put your bike in heat mode and just spin for 45 minutes really hard is a really great way just to give it that flush, try and get that lactic acid out. It's pretty standard.
I just wonder if you have any recommendations for training plans online or where to go?
Yeah, no, I touched on this in a couple of the seminars. This is something we want to do because Craig and I can't really take on any more athletes at the moment because we've got a really full plate. And I feel really bad encouraging people to look to coaching to get some support. And one of the things that I want to do is probably spend some time with Craig Kirkwood and nut out a plan also with a strength and conditioning coach and a qualified nutritionist, and maybe put aside a separate group on Facebook, a private group, and offer a service where we can in some way leverage our knowledge without the one-on-one serious coaching, and we can make training plans specifically for the 4250 and the 608500, and include in it some tips from us, lots of personal contact with us, and those sorts of things. And it will be a nominal pay service, like $40 a month or something, and we'll have a training plan for you for the race, and what you need to do. But we can't tailor it to your lifestyle and what you have. You'll need to work out. So the structure would probably be like, the long run this week you need to do is this, and the next important run that you need to do is this, and if you have time, the next 2 important runs will be this, and if you were to do anything else, they should be this. So I won't tell you what to do Monday to Friday or Saturday, Sunday. So that's something we're working on, and I think probably we need to get onto that in the next week or so and just make that a formal thing. And it'll be based on your ability. So we'll probably get you to try and do like a park run or something so we know roughly how you are, and then we'll fit you into the training program. So that's something we'll do.
Just while you're on that coaching thing, I'm kind of interested in the actual etiquette of if you decide that you want to coach and you kind of ask everyone around and they go, that person's really good and that person's really good. How do you know that that person fits for you without going to 3 or 4 sessions? And what's the etiquette around paying for that and not paying for that?
Give them a ring and have a coffee with them.
Yeah, but that still doesn't make the difference to when you turn up and what they do and whether that gels for you. And I mean, I just joined a swim squad and it's absolutely fantastic. I think that was more fluke than actual anything else.
Well, I do the opposite with new athletes. I sit down with them and have a coffee, have a chat, and I turn away people who I know that I'm not going to be able to work with, and vice versa. If someone sits down with me and goes, "What a dick," I can't work with that guy, and that's fine. We don't all get on with each other. So, but that's probably the best way that I can suggest that you get to know them first and over a coffee and have a chat, and you can ask them all sorts of crazy questions and just assess them, see what they're like, and see if you can actually work with them. See what kind of ideas they have as well. And if their ideas are completely off the wall, then you might want to reconsider.
And so in the run world, do you typically pay for a set period of time, or do you pay for a session by session? Can you go like for 4 and 5 and then say, actually this sucks and it's really not working for me, so I don't want to come back? Because for swim squad you pay a bulk.
Yeah, it's because they have to hire a lane. So
well, no, they don't. They do, but you pay for it actually. You pay for entry, so you're actually just paying the time. So there's kind of a catch to that. So I want to know how that works.
I think everyone does it different. I have a set fee for everyone. I don't have any kind of tiered clients, so everyone pays the same, and and it's an open forum. They can kind of contact me as much as they like. So, and then I have a set limit on how many people I take. And
But is that over a period of time?
No, they're free to come and go as they like. So week by week basis, they're free to come and go.
It's
so
pretty
if
standard.
after 5 weeks they think, man, he's a dick, I don't like him anymore, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
That's fine by me.
That's
But
right.
I can't speak for everyone. I don't know how they operate their businesses. So.
I only know one other coach that charges for a year, and it's $5,000 for a year. And I wouldn't really recommend you. Terrible coach. So, but yeah, but almost everyone's week by week, and you can go, this is shit, I'm going to the next coach, and the coach won't cry about it because they'll understand that the fit wasn't right. It's a two-person. It's very much a relationship. So I'm very much involved with Joe's life, and do you want to keep doing the coaching thing with me? We're still going to hang out.
Yeah, I highly advise getting a coach. I wish I'd done it a long time ago, especially if you're going to be serious about doing quite a few different events. I had it in my head that more was better, and now I've learnt slowly and painfully and nearly lost my whole running career that less is actually a little bit better, and some structure for running these kind of distances and doing this kind of stuff. I highly advise a coach. It doesn't, I mean, yeah, the cost is irrelevant, I think. Depends how serious you are about it.
You didn't have to throw $6,000 down on a bike and $500 on a swoopy helmet. So
It wasn't a cost question, it was a fit question.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, definitely find a good coach. There's some out there.
How long does it take to recover between events?
Depends how hard you bury yourself, I think. Yeah.
So if you're doing 100 Ks, does it take 3 weeks or 6 weeks or?
It's entirely damaged. So I did a 100k race, 100k road race, and absolutely tore my legs off.
Yeah.
And thought I could line up for the Tarawera Ultra 100k a month later, and I stood on the start line injured. I was broken, and I cried for 2 hours in that race, and I won it. But I was so sore. And the main reason I did it is people said I was mad to do it, and you can't do that. And definitely,
You proved them wrong, didn't you?
I proved them right. I didn't tell them that. Joe, back to back, lots of runs. You get lots of runs in a year. How do you do it?
Recover?
Yeah.
I don't usually, I usually recover quite quickly. But I usually don't really, I usually only take about 1 day off or...
What?
Getting into it, but,
I think that relationship is breaking down.
just doing the right things. Just I get weekly massage now. I'm always on a foam roller. I'm stretching. I'm trying to get into yoga, swimming, cross train, and yeah, lately I've been getting this thing called pulse magnetic electropulsing things where you lie on these mats that regenerate your cells and help push along the recovery a bit better, and I tell you, it works a treat. So there are lots of things out there where you can speed it up. The worst thing is to do is just sit around and mope and go, I'm sore and I'm blah 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 blah. You gotta keep moving.
A lot of the recovery time it depends just purely on how fit you are. When I was in Northern California, I hung out with some of the best trail ultra runners in the world, and I remember one weekend a couple of guys, they did a 320k bike ride on Saturday, and they did a very mountainous 85k trail ultra on Sunday, and they won the race on Sunday. So, you know, these are guys with unbelievable recovery, just phenomenal. So it's just purely, recovery is very much a fitness and experience thing. So there's a massive spectrum in recovery rate.
I don't know if people got Sunto watches, but apparently it tells you how much recovery time you need after how far you've run or whatever. I just spent that on Sunday.
Okay, hey, thank you so much, guys. It's been an amazing tour for us. We're around here for a little bit afterwards, so please come and ask questions, and thank you very much, and see you again.